Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla, let's go over the market and figure out what has happened today and what we can expect moving into next week. Of course, we have the market is closed tomorrow, so next week is going to be, well, obviously a fresh week, but also a fresh start to the month of April. I always get months mixed up. I don't know why. March, April, May. For some reason, I always get those mixed up. I have no idea why. Anyways, let's just get right into it. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, of course, all that stuff, right? I have a membership section down below if you're interested. For just $2.99 a month, you get access to all my intraday thoughts, posts, updates, technical analysis, options flow every single day the market is open on Tesla. Again, just $3 a month. Link is down below if you're interested in the description of the video. And again, I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. Tesla closing the day, however, down 2.25%, closing at 175.79 on the day, which compared to the market is definitely a bit of an underperformance. So let's talk about it and discuss what has happened so far, right? So as we talked about yesterday, right, we discussed how we're potentially a bull flag here, right? There's a potential bull flag, a potential handle of this cup and handle pattern, right? There is, of course, potential for that. Now, obviously, in this video, we'll discuss both sides. We'll discuss the bearish and the bullish aspect, right? I try my best not to be a bear or a bull. Long term, Tesla, the company itself, and even like the stock itself, long term, I'm very extremely bullish. Actually, I would even say short term, well, it's a completely different story, right? So, we'll talk about both perspectives. Let's talk about the bullish perspective. Like I said, we have the potential bull flag, right? Cup and handle, the handle of the cup setting up over here. And so far, so good, right? We talked about how yesterday, things are overall, the technicals are, lining up decently well for Tesla here, right? But, there is a risk of us falling to pretty much right around this level, if not a little bit lower. Like I said, maybe around 174, right? I talked about how that is a very real possibility. And I'm actually honestly expecting that to happen, right? Now, with that being said, I do want to, I guess transparency, right? I did actually exit those shares that I said I bought yesterday. The cover, and I exited my cover calls on them as well. They pretty much neutralized each other. So I exited with like $10 loss, I guess, something like that, But I exited on the morning pump, mainly because I expected to sell off towards the end of the day, honestly, because it is a long weekend. Usually when you have these long weekends like this, the markets tend to sell off towards the end of it, right? People don't want to hold these positions, especially something like Tesla with delivery numbers coming out on Tuesday, right? People don't want to hold these positions over the long weekend because, well, who knows what can happen, especially with Elon sometimes, right? So there's a lot of de-risking that you can usually see happen towards the end of the day on the final day before a long weekend. So I kind of expected that, and that is essentially what happened. Now, I did open some fresh cash secured puts though, so I'll be happy. I actually want those to fill in the low 160s. I'll be very happy if those fill next week. Anyways, so we have the potential situation, right? We came right back down to, the crucial 175, 174-ish level. So far, we're holding. So far, so good. So far, it's what we want to be seeing. Like I said here, we turn this 174.5-ish area into support, then resistance, and now potentially turning it into a support. It's looking pretty good. And in my opinion, as long as we hold this 175 to honestly, even as low as 173, things are not bad. Things are definitely not bad, right? But promising even. Bullish potentially even as well, right? Now, there's obviously a lot of caveats, which we'll talk about in the bearish side, but that's kind of the situation I see myself, or I see for Tesla right here, right? Now, if we bring out the band reversion, indicator over here, you can see, we were overbought in this area. Remember how I told you if you start entering, these levels, right? This is like level 1, 2, 3, but for each incremental level that you increase, right, the more technically overbought it is, and vice versa to the downside, of course. We were obviously, in that overbought situation, and now we're getting pretty close to reverting back to the mean on the 4-hour chart and above the mean reversion, if you will, line, which is almost like the 20-day moving average line. So not too bad, but it's a bit of a different story if we go over to the daily chart. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Before we continue on with some potential bearishness, I do want to talk about, this situation here, this zoom in right here, right? Let's go ahead and remove all the drawings, right? And you can see, the green has still crossed the red and we're still holding the green above the red. Again, like I said yesterday as well, not really convincingly. It's just ever so slightly. Like you have to really zoom in to see this thing, right? But, it is technically crossed, right? The 5 crossing the 13 to the bullish side, which is good. So there is some potentially, bullish, signs, if you will, right there. Now, again, it's not super convincing, but it's there. And even after today's red day, it's still crossed, which is, a good sign to see, at least for the bulls. But I guess one thing we could talk about is, well, what do the bulls want to see, right? How will this potential bullish situation play out? Like, what triggers this bullish situation, right? Well, first and foremost, you absolutely want to start breaking, holding, and closing above 183 to 185. Like, that will be the main level-ish. Like 183.5, honestly, could be good enough if we break, hold, close above that, right? If we do that, I do believe that, at the very least, we'll come up to this level of 188 gap fill, but I honestly don't think that it's impossible if, of course, that were to happen. We start opening up the possibility of moving up all the way to this 200 to 205 level, most likely reject, come back down, set up the right shoulder of the inverted head and shoulders pattern that can potentially set up. Of course, it's still a big if, but, looking, a few weeks into the future, that is a possibility. And that's kind of what I see, right? So essentially, again, if I were to like draw it out, if you will, right? We break above here, we come back up, maybe a small rejection, come up, reject here, come back down, set up the right shoulder of this inverted head and shoulders pattern, and then ultimately break out and I think make our way to 240. That's the bullish aspect. That's the bullish theory, if you will, that has, merit. It absolutely has merits, right? There is a possibility for this to happen. But with that being said, let's talk about the bearish side, right? What is the bearish side? What can essentially destroy this bullish thesis, and what might actually just be an overall bearish thesis right here? Because there definitely is some bearishness here too. In my opinion, it's kind of split down 50-50 right now, right? After today's price action, and honestly, mainly because we have delivery numbers coming out next week, and I'll talk about options flow as well, which is looking kind of bearish for next week as well. So the bearish aspects are as follows, right? Let's go ahead and remove these for now. Let's bring up the 21 EMA. Well, we closed right back under the 21 EMA once again. Let me go ahead and change this to yellow. Beautiful, right? We closed back under the 21 EMA once again on the daily. So this kind of potential false breakout yesterday with the candle closing above it, like I said, potentially could have been a false breakout as we're, once again closing back below it on the daily. That's bearish, right? We also have a potential bear flag over here. So let's take a look at it like this, right? Let's go ahead and bring out the drawing tool, right? So we have obviously this rejection that we had of this bear flag. We went down, right? This is the pole. And now we're setting up a bear flag, right? Where we're essentially zigzagging in between one touch point, 2, 3, 4. We had the fourth touch point essentially yesterday/day before. And now we're coming back down for potentially the fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the fifth touch point, which has a very real possibility of breaking down below and crashing further. That is a real possibility. What will trigger that? Well, most likely the delivery numbers. If the market reacts negatively to the delivery numbers for whatever reason, of course, maybe they're just really bad, right? Who knows? But if, again, for whatever reason, the market does decide to react negatively to the delivery numbers, which is a very real possibility, in my opinion, that is going to be, what triggers either this bearish thesis or that bullish thesis that I just talked about. It really just depends and comes down to those numbers, which, again, the options market is expecting blood. Let's just say that. They're not very bullish going into next week. We'll talk about that soon. But that's kind of how I see this happening, right? So the beautiful thing here is the fact that the bottom of this bear flag lines up extraordinarily well with this potential retest I've been talking about, this 175 to 173 level, right? This kind of horizontal line right here lines up almost perfectly with the bear flag, because if we lose this, well, that also means we lost the bear flag, because the bear flag, if it happens anytime, let's say Monday or probably Tuesday, pretty much 173 is the bottom of the bear flag. Losing 173 will pretty much trigger this bear flag. And I think at the very least, we'll come back down to about this 160s range down here to potentially set up a double bottom pattern. If not, potentially go even lower to my personal ultimate target that I will be very happy buying shares at for the long term, 150s, around 150s. I think that's a very also real possibility. And, I think disregarding that is just straight up delusional, right? Very, 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 very real possibility. And it really comes down to delivery numbers. But that's the way I'm looking at it right now. On top of that, to kind of solidify that, right? How do these bear flags usually want to play out, right? These bear flags usually want to play out, or bull flags, because don't forget, when you're in the bear flag, you're technically rising up. You're technically bullish inside the bear flag because you're going upwards, or inside a bull flag, you're technically bearish inside the bull flag because, well, you're going downwards, right? That's how the flag itself sets up. Usually, when you're setting up one of these flags, you want to retrace or kind of correct while you're within that flag to around that 0.5 fib level-ish. It can go as high as 1 fib higher than that, but let's take a look at the fibs here. So if we take that's the wrong thing. Where is the fib? I think it's this one here, right? So if we take it from the swing high recently, which was that 205 pivot level, all the way down to where so far has been the swing low, which is pretty much right around that 160-ish level. You can see we have that 0.5 level right here around 183.5, which we rejected at almost to perfection. And, that is putting a lot of validity into this bear flag being, well, an actual valid bear flag that has merit and has possibility of playing out. So this is definitely a concern for the bulls. This is something the bulls really want to watch out for. But on the flip side, if we start crossing 183, technically this bear flag can extend all the way up to 188 over here with the 618, which lines up with that the gap fill. technically that is still a possibility, but honestly, above 183, the bulls are starting to gain control, in my opinion. The bulls definitely are starting to gain some serious control, especially if we start closing candles above 183.5-ish. Ideally 185, but 183 is a damn good start, right? So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. And like I said, if this bear flag plays out, at the very least, I see 160s, if not potentially again the 150s. You know, extremely high probability, in my opinion, of course, right? So those are the main things I'm looking at right now in terms of technical analysis, right? That's kind of what I am personally eyeballing right now. And, you know, would not be surprised to see whatsoever. Now, let's talk about the options flow. I am using another program or platform that's called Black Box Stocks, right? I don't have a link for it right now. If you're interested, you know, to maybe sign up or use it for yourself, I will have a link hopefully next week for you guys, but I'm still testing it out. I'm seeing how much I like it compared to Cheddar Flow. A lot of people I see that, you know, follow options flow like religiously, they pretty much use Black Box. So I'm kind of curious. Anyway, so let's take a look at Black Box here, right? So let's take a look at Tesla options flow as per usual, right? And you can see a mix of a lot of things, but the one thing you'll see a lot, especially towards the end of the day, is going to be, so we have two things. We have a bit of these 170 puts that came in, but the main thing you'll want to look at if I click here is this. A lot, like a substantial amount of 175 puts coming in for Tesla for next week, next Friday. Pretty suspiciously, there's a substantial amount of them coming in. Obviously, all of them are sweeps. All of them are at least $100,000 in premium. We have some $300,000 in premium over here. This is a little bit concerning. I'm not gonna lie, right? Some of them above the ask as well. So it's a little bit concerning, right? Nowhere near as much, you know, calls as puts that came in today, right? We have a 190 put coming in for a month even after that. So, you know, there are a fair amount of puts coming in, right? Some calls here and there, of course, but this is for like 2 weeks after that. So this is, you know, next month of the 19th of the next month. But, you know, yeah, there's something to consider. Like this is, you know, it's a little bit scary to see this many puts come in like this for next week. Like it's weekly puts coming in. It seems like the market is believing, or at least the options market is believing, that Tesla will miss the delivery numbers and we will fall down even lower. So we'll see. We'll see if that plays out or not. We'll see how that actually, you know, forms up for itself and whatnot. But it is what it is. So this is kind of interesting, you know, and we'll see how this plays out. But, you know, we have obviously at the bottom left, you can see the most bullish flow, right? If you go to the bearish flow, you'll see Tesla right here sitting in third place, right? Nothing too bad, nothing too crazy. But again, specifically for next week, there is a decent amount of a bearish flow rather that came in, expecting us to probably bleed post numbers. So we'll see if they're accurate or not. We'll see if they're correct. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little concerning. So we'll see how it plays out. But all in all, thank you all so much for watching. If you're interested in my current positions, right? Again, I have absolutely no shares of anything right now. I am completely cash. But I do have 2 cash secured puts on Tesla, one for 165 and one for 162.5 for next Friday, which again is $10 and more lower than where we are right now. I will gladly pick up shares there, and I will gladly start to rebuild my position in those areas as low as even the 140s. That is my buy range. 160s, like low 160s to the 140s is my like pretty aggressive buy range. That I think Tesla, you know, if we do come down there, should hold, should be bullish, and I think we'll have a beautiful bounce from there over time. That I will also, of course, be wheeling my shares, right, and my, you know, cash secured puts, cover calls. I'll be wheeling those for sure, like absolutely no question about that. So anyway, I think it's a beautiful place to start it. But all in all, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, as usual, don't forget to hit that like button. And yeah, I'll see you all on Monday. Happy Easter weekend, happy long weekend, and yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.